Well, meantime, today, the future of President Trump's tariffs are in the hands of the Supreme Court as the 9 justices hear arguments on whether the president overstepped federal law or if he is allowed to use his emergency powers to implement those sweeping tariffs. News Nation's Hannah Brandt is live for us outside of the Supreme Court. So, Hannah, first, what are we hearing so far from inside the court?
Well, Nichole, arguments in the court just wrapped up after nearly 3 hours. And at the center of this case is whether President Trump is within his authority to use emergency powers to enact these sweeping tariffs. There's a group of Democratic-led states and small businesses that are challenging that authority in the court. But we know these tariffs are very central to what President Trump has been doing, both with the economy and with national security, he said. And first, we heard the lawyer for the president, the Trump administration, making the case that the president needs these authorities, needs to be able to use these tariffs to respond to national emergencies. He made the case in front of the justices that what they're doing is not trying to raise revenue with these tariffs, but instead trying to address the things that the president sees as emergencies. Those include the trade deficits that the U.S. has with other countries and the flow of fentanyl. Take a listen to the case that he made in front of the justices.
President Trump has declared that these emergencies are country-killing and not sustainable, that they threaten the bedrock of our national and economic security, and that fixing them will make America a strong, financially viable, and respected country again. Due to IEEPA tariffs, President Trump has negotiated agreements worth trillions of dollars with major trading partners, including most recently China.
Now, the justices asked a lot of questions, indicating that they were a bit skeptical of the Trump administration's arguments. And what's notable there was that it wasn't just the 3 liberal justices asking some pretty skeptical questions, but the conservative justices, too. Specifically, we heard Justice Neil Gorsuch question the administration's use of tariffs and whether the use of them may be a one-way ratchet of power, in his words, that goes towards the executive branch and away from Congress, the people's authority. Now, the lawyer arguing on behalf of the small businesses, Neil Katyal, also making that case when it was his turn to argue in front of the justices. Listen to what he said to the court.
Tariffs are taxes. They take dollars from Americans' pockets and deposit them in the U.S. Treasury. Our founders gave that taxing power to Congress alone. Yet here, the president bypassed Congress and imposed one of the largest tax increases in our lifetimes. Many doctrines explain why this is illegal.
Both sides also making the case in front of the court that the consequences of the justices' decision here could be really major for the United States and for its economy. What remains to be seen is when the justices actually hand down this ruling. They took up this case last minute, and there's some urgency to what decision they make. Usually we expect their decisions in the summer. Not clear, though, when this one might come down, Nichole.
All right, so we don't know when that will come down, Hannah, but what is the president saying about the case?
Well, we know President Trump is paying close attention to this case. There are a lot of eyes in the Trump administration on exactly what happens here. The president actually, in a Truth Social post last night, was talking about this case, saying it was literally life or death for the country. He argues that this is really critical to the U.S.'s national security, and he says his ability to impose tariffs is very important, and without it, saying, you can see in his post, that we would be virtually defenseless against other countries. President Trump at one point even floated the idea that he might be here himself. Instead, he decided he wouldn't come to the court, but Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was supposed to be inside of the court listening to arguments today. So we know there are a lot of eyeballs from the Trump administration as they anxiously await the justice's decision.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.